I remember this day very clearly. This was October 6th, 2018. This was UFC 229. This fight wasn't just any ordinary UFC fight. Now, of course, you have two legendary fighters, Khabib Nurmagomedov and the notorious Conor McGregor. But you guys gotta understand the backstory or the context of what happened even before the fight. Conor McGregor being, of course, a very controversial UFC fighter even before this fight. And, of course, the one thing that got him really bad, infamous news was him throwing the dolly at the back of a bus, injuring other UFC fighters and had to put the fight on halt. And Conor, as a trash talker as he is, he was insulting Khabib's family and especially his father. And that's the one thing you probably shouldn't trash talk. It's one thing if you trash talk the person in the fight, because you guys are going to fight in the ring or the cage regardless. But in my honest opinion, you leave family members out of it. It's one thing if you say something to me, but the moment you speak about mother, father, siblings, that's when, okay, the gloves are going to stay on, but you're not going to like this version of me. And Khabib, on the other hand, keep in mind, he was all about respect. He let his fist do the talking. Now, don't get me wrong, Khabib did do a little trash talking, very little, but it was usually something very scary like, brother, send me location. All right, let's meet in the cage. Send me location. Let's talk now. And on this fateful day, on October 6th, 2018, when the fight happened, my heart was beating at 100 beats per minute. And of course, now Conor is a striker, and Khabib, even though his striking has improved, he's more of a wrestler. He was a very dedicated wrestler from Dagestan. But it wasn't until that overhand right, the fight was won by Khabib by a long shot. That was it. Like, we knew he wasn't going to make it. And after the first 3 rounds, after Khabib just kept pounding him on the ground and say, let's talk now, which is very scary, by the way. It wasn't until the 4th round, towards the end, where he did a fulcrum choke, or it was a neck crank, and Conor had to tap. Now, the reason why this fight became so controversial before and even after the fight was because Khabib got so angry that he jumped out of the cage and he jumped into the audience and to fight Dylan Dennis. I think that's him right there. And that's why it became so controversial too. Put into perspective for the older audience, this was probably the UFC equivalent of Mike Tyson versus Evander Holyfield when Evander Holyfield got his ear bitten up by Tyson and they had to disqualify Tyson for the fight. Nevertheless, this fight will be cemented in UFC history as one of the more controversial fights for sure.